Okay, what happens if you get in trouble in your kayak? If you call on your cell phone, a lot of times it's going to take a bit longer for the response to happen because you're calling a land rescue number, essentially. You're calling 911 and they have access to police, fire, and ambulance. So depending on what I brought with me for equipment, and I mean this can be important regardless of where you're at. People have gotten big trouble in urban areas, in suburbia, right? So it's important to really plan your trip, let somebody know where you're going, have the right equipment, which, depending on, again, where you're going, a cell phone can come in very handy. But if you're in the water, have you ever tried to use a cell phone in the water? It's very difficult, and you may find it in some cases impossible. So what we try and promote and teach in Paddle Canada, and it again depends if you're in an area that has no VHF coverage, or there's no vessels with VHFs where you're going, remote lakes and things like that. A VHF isn't going to help you, other than if it's a newer GMDSS DSC equipped VHF that will send out a distress signal to satellites. It's still, I believe, if memory serves me, it's been a long time since I took the course, but it'll use the VHF towers to help triangulate and pinpoint your location. But if you don't have them, I believe they will still transmit to satellite your kind of Latin long and your information, and the Joint Rescue Coordination Center or U.S. Coast Guard, depending on where you're at, will get that signal and know exactly where you are. So that's a great thing to have with you for most instances, is a Marine Band VHF with GMDSS, Global Marine Distress Safety System, equipped. So it essentially has a little GPS in your handheld VHF. Press that button and it's going to be the same thing as your Spot or your Garmin, your PLB, personal locating beacons. It does the exact same thing. It sends a signal, satellite transmits it to the closest rescue center. So what happens after that? The rescue center determines your location and the closest units. For us in the Bay of Fundy, the closest units are typically at Canadian Forces Base Greenwood, which is on the Bay of Fundy side of Nova Scotia. And from there, I believe, I don't know where the other bases are. I think our C-130s, and I think I could be wrong, but I think it's 413 Squadron. And that may only be for our Cormorant helicopters. But I believe we have C-130s out of Greenwood. I know our Cormorants are out of Greenwood, and I know that our Aurora sub-hunters, our CP-140s sub-hunters are out of there as well, I believe. From somewhere in Nova Scotia will come basically a scout aircraft, C-130 Hercules. They're going to be able to get to where that signal was transmitted from the quickest, and depending on what the issue is and how severe the emergency is, they may drop Sartex via parachute with equipment, if necessary, to that issue. And that will be followed up by either something to recover them and whoever needs to be rescued. So it'll either be a rescue boat, our coastal rescue boats, or it'll be a Cormorant helicopter. And they have a fairly good range with those as well. They do a lot of offshore off of Newfoundland and Sable and things like that with the Cormorant. So they have pretty good legs, or a distance that they can fly. So that'll be the follow-up. So what you're going to see here is what could happen if I stupidly went out and wanted to go touring in my whitewater kayak on the Bay of Fundy. A fella can get pretty fatigued really quick with a really short boat, and it kind of highlights why we don't recommend really short boats on the Bay of Fundy, because they are a lot slower and less efficient. I need to input a lot more energy to get the same amount of efficiency and speed, or the same amount of speed out of that boat when it's shorter. That's why we typically go with longer sea kayaks, because they're longer and more efficient. So in this scenario, a few guys went out in really short boats. It's winter. But it wouldn't matter. The Bay of Fundy in the summertime very rarely gets above 15 degrees Celsius, which is kind of the threshold for cold water immersion, and you can get into hypothermic conditions fairly quickly in those temperatures. So this scenario could happen winter or summer. But what's happening in this scenario is we've gone in the winter, playing around, and we got fairly cold, and one of our number has started the first few stages of hypothermia, and we don't feel that we can get back to our put in or get back to a place where we can be accessed by help. So we have initiated a call for help via our GMDSS DSC button, our help button on our VHF. So that is pressed. The Joint Rescue Coordination Center gets the signal, and they dispatch a C-130, which takes some time. You press that button, help isn't going to immediately be there. Depending on the time of day, the time of year, and the crew that's on and what their schedule is, it could take a half an hour, it could take an hour, it could take more than an hour, depending on how far away you are from their airbase. So in our scenario, I'm going to assume, all things considered, we press that button, and an hour later, this happens. Buddy be out the back door, but once the aircraft establishes your position visually, typically they will pinpoint it as exactly as possible. And I'm not sure how that works now with this new computer system that they have, but I believe it used to be just crossing over as the two SAR techs would watch over the side of the aircraft through these bubble canopies that they're in, to determine as best as possible a fixed position that you're at. And then they drop what you see here. It's called a messenger. It's basically a ribbon with a drogue parachute on it. And in basically a dry bag, they have a message with instructions and a VHF radio, typically, saying, turn this on, turn it to channel whatever. For us, it was channel 6, which is a rescue and safety channel. And then you can start communicating with the aircraft.
Hercules, this is kayakers over. Hercules, go ahead. Kayakers, thank you very much. I'm in need of some help. I've got about a 60-year-old man with the history of cardiac, more to follow.
He took too much Viagra.
60-year-old man with a history of cardiac, has some chest pain and has dislocated a shoulder. Also, I have one of our buddies, he went overboard and he's in hypothermia. His dry suit failed, so I can't get out of here. I need some help.
Yeah.
Alright, copy that, we'll get you some help. Kayakers, we have technicians that will jump in approximately Kayaker, acknowledge. We see the 2 parachutes coming our way. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right, buddy. We're not gonna have a problem with that now.
Say what now?
Yeah.
Those guys talking to each other? Yeah.
That's everything, yeah. Pickeroons right up the road from Churchill's. This is good. It is. Yeah, my duck hunting stopped. No. Thanks for watching. If you like what you watched, please subscribe to our channel. We're working very hard to make meaningful content like this for you. Also, hit the bell button down in the corner to get live updates as we upload content. If there are paddling or outdoor related subjects you'd like us to cover, please contact us. We would love to cover them for you. And if you're looking for really cool outdoor and paddling related pictures, please check out our Instagram feed and subscribe there too if you like what you see. Thank you very much. Bye.